The DUX, although looking frail, is one of the heaviest damage dealers and the best tank busters in the entire game, being able to melt through the meta and the swarm with its insane damage output. This is a completely extensive guide on how to build and play your DUX, covering every single aspect, including weapons, playstyle, replaceability, and much more, so you can easily get the most value out of your DUX. If you're already familiar with how my guides work, then you can go right ahead and skip the intro. But if you are new, then stick around. The intro has very crucial information to how my guides work, and you might get lost and not know what I'm referring to without it. And for weapons specifically, I'll only cover the non-meta choices that work well with DUX at the time of recording this guide, including its signature weapons, and I'll also give general recommendations based on what type of weapon DUX likes best. So even if I didn't mention the ones that you were hoping to see, or the top meta weapons, you can get an idea of what synergizes with it. If any information is outdated, and I haven't gotten around to making an updated DUX guide yet, or you just had any questions in general, feel free to leave a comment and ask. I do try my best to respond to any questions you might have, so please don't hesitate to leave one. The gameplay throughout this video will showcase two different DUX, one at Mark II with a low-level pilot, low-level specializations, and level 4 drones, so it's more accurate to how a free-to-play experience might look. On the flip side, the other DUX will be at Mark III with complete investment, and it will have its own sections scattered throughout the guide, so you can see if it's right for you to invest into it further. Since the two DUX look exactly the same in battle, a small indicator in the corner of the screen will be visible based on the mark of the DUX used for any showcases. And when mentioning DUX, I'll be referring to the Mark II one unless otherwise indicated. This guide is targeted for players mainly in Masters and Champions League, and DUX will be evaluated at a Champion League level. So if you are in a lower league, what I say can still be applied, but take the guide with a grain of salt, since some builds will perform differently in the lower leagues. And any meta gear that is in significant danger of getting nerfed at the time of recording this guide will not be mentioned unless really important. So make sure to see the pinned comment for anything on meta gear, along with updates, extras, and post-video fixes, which can be very important. So I really recommend checking it out. But with all of that out of the way, let's fly right into it. The DUX was released in the 10.5 update as a rare balance spot and not at all meta. The DUX in its prime was one of the most cancerous metas in the game's history, and had ridiculous healing, ridiculous damage output that left Titans completely useless against it, and it could do all of this under the protection of 10 seconds of stealth. Pixonic literally gave it everything. So it's safe to say that it did get major nerfs since then, and is now a great and balanced spot worth investing in. Taking a look at its firepower, it has 2 medium and 1 light weapon slots, which is really kind of low for its class. However, this is where its ability comes in. DUX's ability is called Mastermind, and I do have to say, some of Pixonic's ability names absolutely cook, and this is one of them. When activated, DUX puts up a 175,000 Aegis shield, gives itself a 30% speed bonus, and activates 12% per second green durability healing for 10 seconds. Mastermind is set on a 12-second cooldown as well, during which you are completely vulnerable. Oh, and it has a passive ability too, which is kind of powerful. When you deploy DUX onto the battlefield, 3 combat bots fly around behind it. They are actually named, and show up in the kill feed as well. Whenever you are actively shooting, the combat bots will fire alongside you and deal their own damage. This is not dependent on Mastermind being active, and these combat bots have 500 meters of range. For some reason, this isn't always consistent, as they will sometimes hit and sometimes not. But once you get closer than 350 meters, they will always hit accurately. And their DPS is everything. At Mark II level 1, DUX's bots do 2,830 damage per shot, which is around 42,000 DPS if you're hitting accurately. And this is where a majority of your damage will come from when playing DUX. Like weapons, they also get boosted from external sources like motherships and modules. Additionally, when you activate Mastermind, Dewey will get 100% defense mitigation and a 60% boost to its damage. And it is important to note that only Dewey gets these bonuses, and the other 2 drones remain the same. The DUX is classified as a spider bot, and as a given for spider bots, its movement response capabilities are top notch, and it does not have to have its legs oriented in a certain way in order to move the direction you want, which adds another point in its favor. Another weird thing to note is that DUX's weapon slots are situated under its main hull, offering a unique firing angle, which can sometimes be bad since you can't really shoot over buildings. DUX's investment cost is rather low as well, working at Mark II with minimal investment elsewhere. DUX is also classified as a glass cannon, only having 152,000 HP at Mark II, which is really low to balance out its monstrous firepower. And most meta weapons can and will take it out in less than a second if caught unaware. It is competent as a damage dealer at lower levels of investment, but adding more premium options such as Mark III really lets DUX shine. At Mark III, along with now having 190,000 health, DUX grants an extra 50,000 shield energy and 2% more healing, which is kind of unnecessary. But it also gets more companion bot damage, which are now set at 3,500 per shot and do 52,000 DPS. Its importance on the investment list, which is what each aspect of investment's priority is, after you've gotten it to Mark II with the base level specialization path unlocked and have a low level drone, looks something like pilot skills, higher Mark II levels, specializations, Mark III drones, and in dead last weapons. Its Mark III isn't really necessary, so you can save on upgrade tokens, but I do recommend getting DUX to Mark II level 12 for the extra companion bot damage. The DPS really adds up over time, especially against a tank or a titan. As for how replaceable DUX is, there is a lot of competition in the damage dealer department, and DUX is more unique in its role due to its blend of devastating damage and really low HP. So the best comparisons I can make are with Baglior or Strix, both of which have a lot more health than DUX, but higher investment costs and less mobility. I would say that DUX sits somewhere between Strix and Baglior in terms of power, although the skill cap with DUX is high and can outperform Baglior in the hands of a skilled pilot. DUX can be dropped at any time during the match, although it's better as an early drop, so you can counter any aggressive beacon pushers and build up your damage. As soon as you spawn, seek out any beacons that you can help clear out, or any teammates struggling with tanks, as having a DUX firing at a tank can really screw the enemy up and loosen pressure on beacons. Knowing when to push and when to back off is also a crucial skill that you'll pick up when playing DUX, although try to keep the enemy within DUX's companion bot range so that you're always firing at someone. Cover hugging is also really recommended because of DUX's low health. Also, Huey, Louie, and Dewey are floating around DUX, so you can stand 100% behind cover and still do damage with them. So DUX is a very effective corner shooter. Using Mastermind defensively most of the time is what I recommend, and do not hesitate to use it if you sense even a hint of danger or start taking a little bit of damage, as even a few stray bullets can take huge chunks of HP. Activating Mastermind to take out a bot in last stand, or to do damage to a titan, or pursue an enemy is also a good use of it, even if you're not in danger. But just make sure to retreat after using it. And I am going to mention Willa O, DUX's signature pilot skill here, as it is very important to how DUX plays. Willa O gives DUX a 5-second stealth when entering Mastermind, along with small increases to the base bonuses. And Willa is essential to using a DUX, and I absolutely do not recommend trying to use a DUX without her, as this stealth basically grants DUX extra protection in the form of free damage, and playing around the stealth is the most important part of playing a DUX right. DUX's main goal is to do as much damage as possible, and everything in its ability helps it accomplish that, and DUX's fragility is its weakness, and it lives and dies by its ability. So cycling Mastermind and trying to fill the time between abilities is important. These methods could include phase shift, mothership protection, or just not firing at an unaware enemy for a short time in order to get another ability off. DUX's shield is so big that enemies will often drop it when you are in stealth, leaving you with only the healing as protection, so keep an eye on your shield. And if it gets dropped or is in danger of getting dropped, treat DUX as if its ability is only 5 seconds long and retreat. Anything that can get to you in a bad spot is a counter, so be careful and watch out for any potential dangers. Of course, DUX's guide wouldn't be complete without mentioning its dominance in extermination. While the game mode might be mind-numbing to do, having a DUX plus Titan means you can completely obliterate one side of extermination, and get closer to unlocking all of these rewards weekly, which puts DUX's value up even higher since having it leveled means all of your other bots now become way stronger, faster, because you can level them up more effectively. As mentioned previously, Willa O is DUX's signature pilot, who gives 5 seconds of stealth, 7% damage bonus to Dewey, who now gets a 67% damage bonus, and 1% more healing per second when you activate Mastermind. And just to really emphasize my point, if you do not have this pilot, it is not worth running DUX in the upper leagues at all, since enemies will blaze through your shield and kill you instantly with your low health. So do not use any other general pilot for DUX, as it will not function without Willa. As for pilot skills, there are two that are the absolute most important investments that you can make for your DUX: Depth Survivor and Foolhardy Quartermaster. These skills give a refresh of your active module and ability when you reach 50% HP, and depending on the situation, having both of them available can and will save your DUX almost every single game. Module skills, specifically Dodger and Modules Expert, are the next important skills, as having your modules more available allows for even greater survivability since you can cycle more effectively. The next three I would recommend are Energy Shield Expert for a beefier shield, Armor Expert for more badly needed durability, and Roadhog for extra speed. Repair skills are meh. They only really help very minimally, as Mastermind provides enough healing for the whole robot. Raider Gunsmith is actually a damage skill I recommend for DUX, as it can stack, leading to a lot more damage. The other damage skills are not worth it though. The other speed skills, especially the ones that take away things like HP and damage, actively harm your DUX, so do not select them and get rid of them if you can. For lower level drone options, the Showdown. The Seeker drone will be your best bet. 120 meters of quantum radar and 10% energy shield and durability buffs are great for DUX, and it can make great use of the QR, allowing DUX to now counter stealth bots without the use of a module. Paralysis would actually be a fine option as well. The lockdown accumulation can guarantee extra damage on your target and have better crowd controlling effects, along with providing bonus damage, makes this niche drone actually viable, although worse than a Seeker. Reviver is an option too, protecting from fatal damage and pesky one-shot weapons that can surprise even the most aware players. And finally, Showdown can be an alright option for an extra burst of healing when you start taking damage, and a small damage boost after exiting stealth, which DUX can make full use of. For max drone options, there are two standouts. Seeker is still one of these options, as it now gives DUX 70% counter suppression, which makes it really hard for the enemy to take you out when it activates, and counter blinding for sniper and mid-range Titan control, along with having 200 meters of quantum radar permanently. The other one is Webby, a less versatile but strong option for DUX. Since it's DUX's signature drone, DUX can activate all of Webby's perks, which include an actually strong built-in weapon, more damage, slow down on movement speed, which slows the enemy you're firing at to a snail's pace when your ability is active, completely replacing paralysis, and providing a rust effect for when defense mitigation is added, so also during your ability. Webby is an ultimate tank buster drone. Since tanks run close range weapons, it can help stop them before even getting to you in the first place. Other options include Shy for a last stand, which can help you if you need an extra failsafe, along with a bit of defense, speed, and durability. And Armadillo is a good option only for extermination, since it provides defense points on kill and you stack up a lot of them, which makes your extermination runs a lot smoother. The DUX only has one specialization path available. Nothing else exists. And that is Damage Dealer with Nuclear Amplifier and Overdrive Unit. The other modules and specialization paths are way worse, since the damage boost you get from the NAs is massive and affects all weapons and companion bots equipped, nearly doubling your damage on its own. And DUX can get the NAs charged easily due to its companion bots. For active modules, Phase Shift is your best choice. Along with helping to cut down the time between abilities, almost every other module is not good on DUX, even the healing ones, since DUX gives so much healing to itself from Mastermind. Unstable Conduit though can be good as well, but not all the time, so keep an eye out for when its effects will benefit DUX. Shield Breaker is also worth mentioning if your DUX is fully tricked out, and if you're adept at playing it, since you can get DUX to counter both defense, stealth, and shields all at the same time, although you will lose pressure survivability doing so. As for weapons, you have your weapons built into the robot. You can literally equip level 1 Punisher keys on DUX and still perform well with it, but there is one mandatory type of weapon you need to have on DUX. Otherwise, you lose tons of value and it may not even be worth running it. And that is an infinitely firing weapon. When you choose a weapon that fires infinitely, you could have the companion bots firing 100% of the time and make your minimum DPS constant. This will usually be a Tasia, Spear, or Corker, since those are the three best options. And having it in the light slot allows you to run 2 medium weapons, increasing your firepower even more. And I do assume that you will be equipping one of these weapons in the light slot, which means medium weapons are all that I will cover. And of those, really anything goes. But in order to complement DUX's closer range and damage dealing playstyle, weapons with a range of 600 meters or less that provide useful effects so that the drones are able to do more damage are typically the best options. And make sure to see the pinned comment especially for weapons, as it will contain the newer weapons and also my personal favorites at any given time. Discipline are DUX's signature weapons, and why? They are a missile type weapon with 500 meters of range that have an added blast charge effect you will never get off because the accumulation is so little. They don't even complement DUX's playstyle and will often not hit at all in close range. And their DPS is broken right now, not in a good way, because they're bugged. Discipline is supposed to feature an accelerated firing rate, but they've been broken for a long time and are bad because of it. Hopefully Pixonic fixes this bug soon, as they will become relevant again when it's fixed. Damper are a 500 meter range energy machine gun that do solid damage along with providing a bonus rust effect, which blocks enemy healing for up to 60% reduction, which can help with dealing with tanks more easily. It is worth noting that you should not run these if you use a Webby drone, since their effects will not stack, and it's just a waste at that point. Maguan are 350 meter range electric ball weapons that do really high damage at point blank, but fizzle out the further away you get. You most likely won't get their full damage since you'll be standing a little bit away, but they are a fantastic choice for DUX since they bypass shields, giving full damage to them in the process, and therefore boosting your nuclear amplifiers faster. They also feature a rust effect, and additionally the crumble effect, which reduces the amount of gray healing the enemy heals back, adding even more to DUX's tank busting capabilities. Growlers are a 500 meter sonic based weapons that deal really high damage, and all of it is gray damage. Gray damage resistance on bots that do have it cancel out this effect, so they're not as good for tank busting as they seem, but still a great choice for the amount of damage they do. They also feature a resonance effect, which builds up, and when maxed, detonates a fixed 25,000 gray damage blast to the enemy and its surroundings. The ARM M weapons are a 500 meter range, energy-based weapon whose main gimmick is their percentage damage feature. DUX can really take advantage of this because of its drones, and becomes an even better Titan Slayer with them equipped. Their damage outside of the percentage is not very good though, and since DUX doesn't have very many weapon slots, it only takes 2% of the max health every hit. And their reload is on the longer side, but their potential is big, although they're probably the weakest options for DUX on this list. Atomizers are a 500 meter range energy machine gun that also include infinite fire, allowing for you to run the full build. They do lose accuracy the longer you fire, but their DPS is high to compensate, and the amount of sustained damage you can do with this thing is crazy. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed this guide, and please let me know in the comments or community tab what you're running. I'd love to give any tips, but I will not take any more of your time, and I will see you in the next one.